We've been taught to measure safety in bricks, to believe that freedom begins when a debt ends. But hidden within that widely praised and repeated act could be the quiet echo of a mistake no one dares to question. Because paying off your house quickly might sound like a noble goal, but what if it's a prison disguised as certainty? We walk through life believing the roof over our heads should be debt-free, that the final payment is the first deep breath. But what if that breath is also the one that suffocates your potential? What if, in running toward comfort, we're leaving behind the power to grow, to build, to multiply? This is not an invitation to stay in debt. It's an invitation to think, to look at what no one ever told you, what the wealthy understand and others follow blindly. Because in the game of money, those who feel safe are often the first to lose. How many times have you sacrificed your liquidity just to feel like you did the right thing? How many times have you locked your money into a house while your dreams gasped for air? Tell me, have you ever felt that in your life? That sense of doing everything right only to feel something missing deep inside. Today, I'll show you what no one dares to tell you, what could forever shift your relationship with money. You're about to hear a truth that might make you uncomfortable, but it could also set you free. Because sometimes, to live with more, you have to unlearn what you thought was less. Chapter 1: The Illusion of Peace. Paying off your house quickly feels like a pat on the back, a soothing voice that says, "You did good." But beneath that comfort lies an invisible cost: stagnation. The money that could be creating wealth is buried in concrete. It's not wrong to want security. The problem is we often confuse security with immobility. And in the world of finance, immobility is poison. Have you ever felt it? That false sense of peace that comes from being debt-free, but also leaves you feeling like nothing is available. If you've ever lived that, write about it below. Chapter 2: Money that doesn't move dies. Money wasn't meant to sit still. It was made to flow, to move, to fuel ideas, to fund dreams. When it sits too long, it weakens, it fades away in the silence of what could have been. Think of money like water. When it flows, it cleanses, nourishes, transforms. But when it stagnates, it rots, it loses life. It becomes a swamp of missed opportunities. That's what happens with savings that never get invested, with capital used only to pay off debts, with money trapped in bricks, earning nothing. A paid-off house sounds noble. It smells like success, like victory, like you've made it. But it can also be the beginning of silent financial stagnation. Because while your capital sleeps within those walls, time keeps moving. And time, when it comes to money, is either your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Every dollar that doesn't move is a dollar that's not working for you. It's not generating interest, not multiplying, not opening doors. A motionless dollar may bring comfort, but it rarely brings freedom. And without freedom, finance becomes a burden, dressed up as security. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that having everything paid off is the right thing. But the more honest question is what you paid off actually doing anything for you? Or is it just sitting there, decorating your pride while your opportunities walk by? Comment the word flow if this idea speaks to your soul. If you've ever felt that money only feels alive when it's moving. Chapter 3: The Real Value of Liquidity. Liquidity is the ability to breathe deeply in the middle of a storm. It's knowing that no matter what happens, you have room to move. That you can say yes without fear and no without guilt. That you can help someone, seize an opportunity, or handle a crisis. Because your money isn't buried, it's available. Many people are proud to say they've paid off their mortgage. And yes, that can be an accomplishment. But it can also be a door that closes. Because when you convert all your capital into bricks, you freeze it. You turned it into something that can't be touched without hassle, without selling, without losing value, without time. Imagine having €200,000. but you can't touch it. It's stuck in your house. Meanwhile, a life-changing opportunity appears. A solid investment, a thriving business, a chance to generate passive income. But you can't take it, because your money is there, but it's not here. Liquidity means being present. It means the power to act, the power to adapt. It's the difference between surviving and growing, between owning what has value and owning what's actually useful, between being paid off and being ready. It's not that paying off your house is bad. It's that doing it too soon can freeze your power. It can strip away your ability to react. And in a world that moves this fast, response time is everything. Has this ever happened to you? Have you needed to act, but your money was locked away? Tell me about it below. Maybe your story will finally give words to what so many silently feel.
Chapter 4. The rich never pay this way. There's a big difference between having money and knowing how to use it. And that difference shows up in the details. For instance, in how wealthy people manage their properties. While most people rush to pay off their homes as quickly as possible, the rich do the opposite. They use them as leverage. They understand a powerful truth. If you can get a mortgage with low interest, and instead of pouring your cash into the house, you invest that money into higher-yielding assets, you're multiplying your wealth. You're using leverage intelligently. Not debt as slavery, but debt as a tool. It's not about never paying. It's about not paying early if that money can grow elsewhere. While one person struggles to hand over their last euro to the bank, the other puts that euro to work in an investment that returns 10. That's the mindset difference. It's not greed, it's not cheating, it's strategy. It's about understanding that every euro has potential, but only if you let it move, multiply, and produce. Cheap, well-managed debt can be a launchpad. Poorly managed, it can be a trap. The key lies in how you use it. The rich don't just think in terms of ownership, they think in terms of cash flow. Not what they have, but what their assets produce. That's why what most people see as a goal, a paid-off home, they see as just a starting point. Comment abundance mindset if you're ready to change the way you view money. Because sometimes the real shift isn't in what you earn, but in how you think about it. Chapter 5. The Price of Security. From childhood, we were taught that security is the goal. A stable job, a paid-off house, money saved just in case. And so we grew up believing that being safe meant being okay. But have you ever asked yourself what you're sacrificing for that sense of security? Sometimes the price of feeling safe is playing small. We cling to what we know, to what doesn't hurt, to what feels low risk, and without realizing it, we shut the door to what could have been. We tell ourselves that not investing is smart, that not moving our money protects it, that overpaying is a responsible act. But often, that impulse is rooted in fear. It's not wrong to seek security. It's natural. It's human. But if that search takes away your ability to expand, to create, to grow financially, then what you call security might just be a pretty cage, a refuge with invisible bars. Real security doesn't lie in having everything paid off. It lies in knowing how to rebuild if necessary. It's found in financial education, mental clarity, and long-term vision. It's not about burying your money under an emotional floorboard. It's about learning to use it as a seed. Those who only save don't grow. Those who only pay don't build freedom. The balance lies in discernment. Does this bring me peace, or does it limit me? Is this prudence, or is it fear disguised as responsibility? Have you ever felt like you were choosing security but missing out on opportunities? Share your story in the comments. Maybe it'll resonate with someone else. Chapter 6. Your home is not your asset. We were taught that a house is the ultimate symbol of success. The final goal, the safe haven. Once you have your own home, everything will be fine, they said. But the truth is, financially speaking, your house isn't always the asset you think it is. Robert Kiyosaki put it bluntly, but he had a point. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes it out. And as painful as it is to admit, your house, the one you love so much, is a constant source of expenses. Taxes, repairs, maintenance, insurance, the list never ends. This isn't to say you shouldn't have a home, of course not. A home is grounding, it's shelter, it's part of your identity. But let's not confuse the emotional with the financial. A house can bring peace, but it doesn't necessarily bring income. And if all your capital is tied up inside it, locked between walls, it can't work for you. Many people put all their energy into owning a fully paid-off home. But that home doesn't bring returns. It doesn't generate cash flow. It doesn't create freedom. The paradox is they feel like owners but live with restrictions. Because when opportunities arise, there's no liquidity. When emergencies hit, there's no cushion. When it's time to grow, there's no room to move. The investor's mindset is different. It observes, calculates, distinguishes between emotional value and financial value. And most importantly, it makes decisions based on the long term, not just on short-term satisfaction. If this made you see your home through a new lens, comment "true asset." Maybe today's the day you start looking at your finances with more awareness.
Chapter 7. The Cost of Missed Opportunity. There's a cost that isn't visible, but you feel it. One that doesn't show up on your bills or bank statements, yet it can quietly drain your future. The cost of missed opportunity. Every extra euro you throw at your mortgage, every investment you avoid out of fear, every bit of savings left sleeping in a low-yield account is a lost chance. That same money could be earning interest, generating passive income, bringing in dividends. But when you lock it into a single purpose, like paying off debt faster, you also shut the door on growth. The irony is that many people think they're doing the right thing. They overpay, work harder, believe they're being responsible. And in a way, they are. But often they're also being inefficient. Because while they're eliminating a 20-year mortgage with low interest, they're missing out on what that capital could earn in that same period if invested wisely. It's like watering only one plant while the rest of your garden dries up. Debt isn't always the enemy. Financial inertia is. Not questioning our choices, not asking ourselves, what else could I be doing with this money? The problem with missed opportunities is that they don't leave visible scars. They only show up years later when you look back and realize all you could have built if only you'd thought differently. Has this ever happened to you? That feeling of having done the right thing with your money, but with no real reward? Share your story below. You might be the wake-up call someone else needs to hear. Chapter 8. Investing beats paying off. Imagine holding 100,000 euro in your hands, the result of years of work, sacrifice, and dedication. Now you're at a crossroads. You can use it to pay off your home and sleep soundly knowing you're debt-free, or you can plant that money like a seed in the fertile ground of investment. Most people choose the first option, not because it's better, but because it's easier, more immediate, more secure. But money speaks its own language, and that language is motion. Stopping it, locking it behind paid-off walls, goes against its nature. But when you set it free, when you put it to work, it starts bearing fruit. If you invest that 100,000 euro at 8% annually, you're not just covering the interest on your mortgage, you're building a stream of returns that flows back to you, even while you sleep. This chapter isn't just about numbers, it's about vision. Understanding the difference between being debt-free and being financially free. Because you could own nothing and still have nothing. No cash flow, no leverage, no financial tools. Fear pushes us to pay. Growth invites us to invest. And that decision shapes the story you'll tell in a few years. Will it be a story of safety or one of expansion, of caution, or of abundance? This isn't about playing with fire. It's about lighting your own torch, learning, educating yourself, knowing where and how to invest. Because ignorance costs more than any bank interest ever could.
If this message stirred something inside you, if you feel ready to multiply instead of paying out of fear, drop a comment saying, "I choose to grow," and open the door to a new financial narrative.
Chapter 9. When the emergency comes. Many celebrate having their home fully paid off as the ultimate financial achievement. And it's not a bad thing until life throws you a curveball. An accident, an illness, a sudden loss. And then you realize you can't mortgage a wall to pay for surgery. You can't sell a bedroom to cover an emergency. The strength of your home doesn't always translate into the liquidity you need. A paid-off house is an immovable asset. Beautiful? Yes. Safe? Absolutely. But in a crisis, what saves you isn't a solid structure. It's quick access to cash, flexibility, and strategy. What truly protects you is having a plan, not just a roof over your head. Real prevention isn't about having everything paid off. It's about having a safety net, a fund, a reserve, a plan B that doesn't involve selling what you love or scrambling into debt. And that safety net isn't built with bricks, it's built with intelligence. What if, instead of locking your savings into a property, you placed them in a liquid, secure, and accessible investment? What if, instead of closing doors, you made sure there was always a window open when you needed it most? This isn't a criticism of the desire to live debt-free. It's an invitation to recognize that life doesn't always follow our plans, and that prevention sometimes means taking the less comfortable but wiser path. If you once believed your paid-off home would be your greatest shield, but now you understand that liquidity is also protection, leave a comment saying, "Prepared with vision." Your story could inspire someone else to think ahead. Chapter 10. The Psychology of Control. What if the urge to pay off your mortgage as quickly as possible isn't driven by financial logic, but by an emotional need? What if, deep down, what we're really craving is a sense of control in a world that often feels chaotic? The desire to eliminate debt might seem rational, but sometimes it stems from a deeper wound. A need for security, predictability, for holding tightly onto something that feels certain. But money, like life, doesn't respond well to clenched fists. It flows better through open, wise, strategic hands. Paying off your home early can give you the illusion of control. But what if that control is also a cage? What if, by closing the door on debt, you also shut out growth, investment, and liquidity? What if you held so tightly to the goal of eliminating payments that you lost sight of opportunity? Mastering money isn't about avoiding it. It's about understanding how it moves, how it multiplies, how it adapts. Instead of fearing it, you turn it into your ally. Maybe the goal isn't to own everything, but to use what you have with wisdom. To stop trying to control and start learning to lead your financial journey. Because freedom doesn't come from owing nothing. It comes from being able to choose at any moment. If you've ever felt that your rush to pay off debt came more from emotion than strategy, leave a comment saying, "I choose to lead with power." You're not alone. The important thing is you see it clearly now.